This new StarCraft 2 map is by far the strangest map in the new map pool. Ever since the new balance patch hit about a week or so ago at this point, I've been desperately looking for pro games played on this map, and I haven't found any until today. And when I saw both of these players' names, I knew I had to go ahead and check it out. So spotting right here in the bottom left-hand corner of a map called Radhuset Station. Playing with the red Zerg drones, we have the man who's considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time, and he goes by the name of Serral. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, one of my personal favorites, one of the strongest Terrans from Korea, we have none other than Cure. Alright, Cure versus Serral. I mean, this should be an absolute banger on any map, but on a map this strange, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, Radhuset Station, first off the name. I had to look this up. So from what I understand, a Radhuset is basically the city hall or the council hall in Swedish? And it's supposed to be a reference to a map called Kijkwijzer Station. Now, if you've been watching StarCraft 2 for a long time, about a decade or so ago, I think at this point, quite literally, like 10 years ago, somewhere along those lines anyways, we had a map called Kijkwijzer Station, and it was one of the most popular maps at the time. This is supposed to be the 2023 equivalent of that map. And I guess we'll have to find out together exactly what ended up going down right here, because it really is a little bit different. So with the new StarCraft 2 ladder maps and new tournament maps, we for the very first time have 9 maps, meaning that the players, when they're playing a best of 3 or for example a best of 5, they all get 1 additional veto. And since Radhuset Station is very different from the other 8 maps that are new, I guess most of the series that I've casted so far, the pro players are like, yo, this new patch, it's already very strange. These new maps, there's a lot going on. We're gonna veto this map as quickly as possible. But for some reason, Cure vs. Serral took place over here. So before this game really gets crazy, let us go ahead and have a look around. So first off, we have this main base with a ramp leading down towards a low ground. Then you have, technically speaking, 2 third base options. There is a relatively short rush distance when it comes to air, because the naturals are expanding in the direction of the opponent, which is already a little bit funky. There's this nice tucked away position as well that previously had a couple of minerals on it. Serral apparently already mined those out. By the way, we have Cure going for what seems to be a command center first, going into a barracks and then eventually a factory. He's got 1 marine, but that's about it. There's already a couple of links coming across the map as Serral also decided to open up with a quick expansion, but I believe this one was built at 15 supply because he's been a big fan of that extractor trick opener. Opening up gasless though on the back of this as he now decides to take a 3rd base as a 3rd command center goes down as well. Yeah, you need to adjust to this map. You can't just play your normal strategies, and that's why a lot of pro players are, I guess, a little hands-off when it comes to playing a map like this. Anyways, so this tucked away position over here, it's an interesting one. So there's a couple of small mineral fields that I guess won't allow you to go like command center, and then eventually a unit producing structure. I mean, technically you can still do it, but they only have 10 minerals in them each, meaning that you need 2 trips for a worker to mine it out. There's also these small mineral fields right over here. I guess these can be mined out, technically speaking, as well by the opponent, but most of the time I don't think that's quite going to be the case. And then we have all of this debris sitting over here behind that mineral wall. So eventually, all of this is destructible, all of this is, well, mineable. Eventually, there should be a wide open space that's effectively going to create an additional entrance into the opponent's natural expansion if they decide to mine it out. By the way, we have 4 Cyclones coming up here. That's an interesting one. Okay, if you don't want to deal with this base over here, because it is a little bit strange, there's another base over in this direction, and then another one south of that too. On Kijkwijzer, you had like a high ground base in the middle of the map. That's not quite going to be the case here. But what we do have instead is these golden minerals. So these golden minerals are technically very close to the opponent's natural. I just realized, by the way, there's so much space behind the natural expansion too. That is weird. I hadn't actually picked up on that yet. Yeah, there's so much space behind the natural. Huh. Normally this wall over here would be like right over here instead. Interesting. You can build like half your base over here. It's a lot of missile turrets that you could build there if your opponent does decide to rush out air units. Anyways, Serral right here has decided to go for a lair. And here go the Cyclones. So these Cyclones are so strange because they're kind of like slow now and they deal a bunch of damage, but they're not quite as strong as they used to be, but you can get them out a little bit easier, and they still match the movement speed of, for example, Queens. And well, for example, Adepts, as we noticed already as well in Terran versus Protoss, they're a strange little unit. Link speed is about to finish up, but Cure is showing up at the perfect moment with a bunch of Hellions too. Well, as he loses both of them. That's still so many queen kills though, and as long as he keeps these Cyclones around, yeah, just drive them back home. 5 minutes into this game is when Metabolic Boost finally finishes up. I think Cure is going to be able to use these very effectively later on. So only losing 2 Hellions and getting 3 Queens together with 5 Zerglings as well. That's a massive start right here for Cure. We noticed in the games that Dark has played so far, so the #1 Zerg from Korea, that Dark seems to be not particularly fond of going for Banelings. Serral is, however, rushing out of Baneling Nest together with a Spire, so that's interesting. He is gonna go for what seems to be Mutaling Bane. I mean, this is like a Wings of Liberty-esque map. You may as well play a Wings of Liberty-esque style, so apparently Serral has decided to go Mutaling Bane here. Interesting. One big downside of Mutaling Bane is that your upgrades, your evolution chamber upgrades, generally are super late because you try to rush out those mutas first. You can see already on the other side, Cure has fired up his own engineering base and he is going into the 1-1 research. Since he built his command center so nice and early, he's already got a booming economy. Yeah, and with the mules landing, he should be able to at the very least match the Zerg's eco here going forward. And there's one thing that I think we can all agree on, and that is that if Bio-Terran is going to be the name of the game, it's a very cost-efficient army against Mutaling Bane, assuming the Banelings don't just destroy literally everything. Now, of course, the Banelings did get a double nerf. I'm sure that Serral has practiced with them quite a bit. This army over here is dangerously, though, man. Those Cyclones, yeah, still available. I mean, I don't think you necessarily want them around for the rest of the game, but if you can somehow, some way kill this base, that would be massive. This is really the only proper 4th base option, by the way, for Serral. So this base really is do or die. Mutas right now are coming up. 1-1 is going to finish up. Yeah, before I think 1-1 will start right here for Serral, but he will have 11 mutas. Has Cure seen the Spire? He has not. He's, however, already putting down, okay, missile turrets. Even though he didn't see what the opponent was playing against, he's putting down missile turrets because he assumes that this is likely to be the case. What else would there be coming right now? It's either going to be Hydras or something along those lines. And missile turrets are a relatively small investment to still be safe against a variety of Zerg openers. Could be, I guess, a Queen drop. Could be a variety of stuff, right? Even against Tunneling Claws, it's not bad. But here we go. 2-2 starts up pretty much immediately as a 1-1 starts here for Serral. So that means for the foreseeable future, Cure will have a very significant upgrade advantage. Now here go the Mutalisks. It's almost like a little fairy ring right over here at the watchtower. Interesting. Anyways, is there enough to defend right here against these 11 mutas? Serral wants to find a base that hopefully doesn't have a missile turret on it. At the same time, there's a big fight happening over here. Okay, it looks like Serral wasn't paying attention to the mutas and Cure wasn't paying attention to the Marines. Both players take a little bit of damage there. 3 mutas end up going down, 11 Marines here in total. There's the new drilling claws. The dreaded drilling claws. The Widow Mines will now be able to unburrow twice as fast as they used to. I already kind of feel like Mutaling Bane is like a B-tier unit composition in the current meta of StarCraft 2. And the Widow Mine change really does not make it any better. The double nerf to Banelings also certainly is not going to aid it, but we'll have to see. Serral, of course, known to pull rabbits out of hats, and we'll have to see if he decides to really stick around on Mutaling Bane for a long time. I mean, he did go for the +1 air weapons, so that will allow him to get more powerful mutas out, but generally, these are used to like leverage Zerg into, for example, a hive, or for example, a bunch of lurkers, or something along those lines. We rarely see mass Mutaling Bane. Thor over here available, lovely player by Cure though. Doing an excellent job controlling the Zerg, building up his advantage. Looks like the Medivac over here did end up going down, and Serral's gonna start mining out these small mineral fields here. Lovely stuff. Ooh, Widow Mines burrowed over here. Did Serral see them? Okay, he does see them over here. That's important. Don't want to lose your mutas. Yeah, Cure is doing an amazing job, though. So he obtained... Ooh, Serral. Big mistake. Big mistake. Great target firing there as well. Good stuff here by Cure, man. Yeah, so Cure obtained a nice tempo advantage with those first 4 Cyclones of his, right? When he sniped those queens, I mean, the cost there was not that big on the side of the Zerg, but it just slows down the tempo a lot. If those queens didn't go down, I think the creep probably would have already covered this entire terrain. This fort would have never been in a lot of trouble. And basically what Cure is trying to do is establish that tempo advantage in the earlier stages of the game and then, well, put his foot on the gas. And that's exactly what he's been doing here over the last couple of minutes. Despite the fact that it's Mutaling Bane that he's playing against, normally that means that Zerg has got map control. He's trying his very best to make sure that Zerg does not get a whole lot of, well, map superiority. Once again, parking his army just outside of the perimeter of the creep. Serral wants to try and pick up a couple of those reinforcing units, but I just don't think there's enough Mutalisks. Okay, Infestation Pit coming up. 2-2 here coming up as well, but 2-2 has already finished up on the other side. Cure has started up 3-3 immediately, and he is looking sharp here. He's got himself the 4th Command Center done, of course. Planetary Fortress is set up in that location. I think Serral wants to try and collapse on top of his army. Does he have enough stuff, though? Those Widow Mines are positioned lovely as well. He wants to come in from multiple angles, and this is the moment, apparently, where the Finnish Zerg decides to pull the trigger. Does he have enough units here to destroy everything? That Thor has been retargeted on top of the Mutas. Marines do end up going down here. Most of this fight is taking place off creep, and Serral just doesn't have the numbers. I mean, he pushes his back eventually, but mostly because Cure decides to back off. He's waiting right now for some more of his reinforcements to show up. Good macro here by both players, though, keeping their resources relatively low. Serral actually, yeah, starting to pile up a little bit here, right? Maybe the gas count is a bit high on Cure's end, but that is really not that significant. Thor here still lives with literally 1 health. Now 10 confirmed kills, and I think half of those must have been Mutas. Most of the Widow Mines right now. Oh, that one actually betrayed the Terran army. Most of those Widow Mines are dealing friendly fire. Okay, they are gonna get cleaned up there, and Serral does stabilize, but that was on a razor's edge. Where do you expand from here, Cure? Do we go for the base over here in the center, or do we expand down south? Okay, we are gonna go down south. Yeah, these golden minerals seem nearly impossible to me to acquire. How in the world are you gonna... I don't see how you're gonna take those. Anyhow, we're still talking 78 workers right here for the Zerg. Hive is coming up right now. 2-2 has finished, but this is a... It's finished for the Finnish guy? Lowko, so funny. Thanks, guys. This is a mid-game Zerg army going up what is going to be a late-game Terran army here very soon. I mean, obviously, there's no Ghost in the mix. We don't have that Mass Liberator transition or anything along those lines, but the 3-3 research is going to give a major advantage to Cure, who really hasn't been slowed down in any way, or slowed down. Apparently slowed down is not correct English, guys. After casting games for years and saying slowed down many, many times, somebody corrected me and mentioned that apparently, what is it called? The present perfect or whatever? I don't know what the verb style is called. Anyways, apparently that's not correct. It's slowed down. That's the correct tense. Anyways, completely irrelevant to the cast. We do have a lot of economy here for Cure. There's just not that many bases for him to take. So he wants to continue the aggression here. Yeah, mostly just to try and get the Zerg to be on a smaller economy than the Terran is right now. Serral has snuck out some additional workers if he can get this base, however. There might not be enough mineral fields for the Zerg player to mine. Those Widow Mines trying to retarget. Okay, detection at this point for the Zerg is gone, at least with the Muta control group. Couple more Overseers here on the left, but looks like the Marines and Marauders have already cleared the job. The little Broodlings right now that pop out of the hatchery. Trying their very best, but not really achieving that much. Cure stands his ground, putting the Marauders in the front, ready to soak up a lot of those Baneling, Zergling, Muta hits. And so far, Cure is dominating. Yeah, Cure really is doing a phenomenal job in this game, just... Ever since he sniped those queens at the start, now if he can get these Banelings, that would be huge. Ever since he sniped those queens at the start, though, he hasn't slowed down in any way, shape, or form. Building armor is going to finish up. Do we already have high-sec auto-trekking? We do. One of those upgrades we rarely see, but it might be helpful. I wonder if this is the type of game where you do want to get yourself a fusion core out just for the medevac boost. Like the medevac buff that got introduced with this new patch. I think it'll be nice. Alright, so this command center is gonna make the very long trip all the way down to the golden minerals. It's gonna be quite a flight, and these bases really are super far apart. Serral right now finds this base, loads of missile turrets. There's a there's a Widow Mine set up as well. Not going to happen. Serral did finish up the golden base over here too, but yeah, I just don't see how you're gonna mine that one out. Ghost Academy coming up right now. I'm sure that the Finnish player here would love to go into some, I don't know, like infestor play, or maybe make the transition towards lurkers, but he just doesn't really have an option here. He needs to spend all of the resources that he's got on units. Eventually though, 3-3 will finish up. And you can see here that the cost efficiency from the Terran has been pretty phenomenal so far in this game. Is he going to be able to continue that trend? Because as 3-3 finishes, those trades should be a little bit better here for Serral. A little bit better, at least, compared to where they are right now. He's thinking about starting up a base, I guess, in the bottom right, because that's where those drones are retreating to. Okay, Planetary Fortress being set up over here in the center as well. This map is kind of wild. Those bases feel so incredibly far apart, and yet it's easy to expand in the early game. So the first 3 or 4 bases are super easy to acquire, but then after that it feels like you have to walk for miles before you get to the next location. At this point we do have a lot of mutas out. They can start contesting the missile turrets, but as long as there's Marines and Widow Mines nearby, I mean, some of the Widow Mines are even burrowed out of the line of sight there. It's hard to get much done. Okay, mutas have found an entrance right now into the main base, but that is gonna pull the trigger right now for Cure on the other side of the map to continue the harassment for some more time there. One Thor is gonna turn back around, okay? He's apparently very ambitious. In the meantime, the Lings and Banes trying their very best. She's not going to happen. Those Banelings just don't pack quite the punch that they used to. The damage reduction against, well, light units, and then also the HP reduction really does not make the Baneling nearly as menacing a unit as it once used to be. Obviously, you still have to respect them, though, because they can still blow up your army in a heartbeat. One Liberator here also added into the mix. Looks like a couple of barracks may have gone down in the main base, but the mutas already snuck around through the left side, and they're making their way once again back home. What was previously the third base of the Zerg has now been destroyed, though, by Cure. Really cleaning house here, getting rid of so many of those bases. Serral, however, did sneak out a hatchery in the bottom right-hand corner. He's gonna try and mine it around the same time as Cure is trying to set up a command center in that location too. Looks like a couple of the mutas may have been caught with their, I was gonna say pants down, but I guess they don't wear pants. They're just flying through the center of the map. Their glaives did not connect with that many of those Marines, and a few of them did end up falling. Cure wants to set up a base over here, and he's going to be surprised with a Zerg infestation. Not really what you want to see. Widow Mine over there getting quite a bit of damage done. One of them, though, does end up getting sniped. Excellent job here by Cure, getting rid of all of that creep. I think Serral's main way out at this point is for Cure to make a very significant error. He's maxed out right now. He's gonna start stacking up some resources. He's still harassing wherever he can. Serral's still playing very fast. 475 APM versus 335, but it seems like Cure has had an answer to everything. He's just been doubling up, quadrupling up on all of those missiles. Okay, that's like quintupling up? I don't even know the correct wording anymore, but anyways, he's been setting up so many missile turrets and Widow Mines to maximize the damage. Serral recognizes he's not gonna be able to clean up this army, and it's indeed Cure who obtains the victory in a very dominant fashion against a Zerg who ordinarily never loses against Terran. Cure did a wonderful job building up the advantage after sniping those queens in the earlier stages of the game, and ever since, like, what was it, like minute 4? He really hasn't been behind at any point in this match. Cure not only mining more than his opponent, but also having significantly more cost-efficient trades.